Once again, we'll turn to Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. We'll read verses 12 through 15. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And God doeth it, that men should fear before him. We saw last week that man is greatly limited in his comprehension of events, in his comprehension of God. Having said that, Solomon now comes to the logical conclusion. Again, man cannot fully comprehend God. Man cannot fully comprehend the events or the seasons of life. And now in verse 12, Solomon says, I know. Although man cannot fully comprehend, he's stating something that he knows. I know that there is no good. That is, there is no lasting fulfillment and happiness in them. That's referring back to God's works, God's creation. So he says, I have come to know, I have come to realize, and then he relates what he's come to know, that there is no good, lasting fulfillment, lasting happiness in the works of God, or in the events of life, the temporal things that God has created, but for a man to rejoice. He says, I know that man cannot find lasting fulfillment and happiness in this life, but a man is to rejoice and to do good in his life. So, though man cannot comprehend fully God's works, he ought to rejoice in them. Though man cannot fully comprehend God's ways, he ought to rejoice in them and to do good. That's so of all mankind. Mankind is to enjoy life. Mankind is to do good. Notice in Psalm 34. Psalm 34. In verse 14. Depart from evil and do good. And all of mankind is to do that. To do good is to do right. Depart from evil, whether it be in thoughts or whatever, and do good. Do what is right. Psalm 37 and verse 3. Trust in the Lord and do good. This shows us one of the helps in doing good is to trust in the Lord. That is, you do not take matters into your own hands. You trust in the Lord, and you do what's right. Regardless of what anyone else does, you trust in the Lord, and you do what's right. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shalt thou be fed. In other words, there will be more blessings in life. Verse 27, depart from evil, and do good, and dwell forevermore. That is, in the land. So, it's our business. It's the business of all mankind to do good in life, to do what is right. That's the business of all mankind. It will not save your soul, but it's your responsibility. It's the responsibility of all mankind to do what's right. That's not what's right in our own eyes, but what God has established as right. Now notice in Luke chapter 6, Luke 6 verse 35. Love ye your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again. That is, share, not for the purpose of getting something in return. And your reward shall be great. So, love your enemies, do good. Galatians 6, verse 10. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men. As we have the opportunity, let us do good unto all men. So we must not be negligent of our opportunities. We must recognize our opportunities. A lot of people are oblivious to the opportunities that are right before them. And then he qualifies this, takes it a little further. Especially unto them who are of the household of faith. You have a responsibility to all men to do what's right. But that responsibility is even greater to those who are of the household of faith, which would refer to church capacity. 1 Peter chapter 2. 1 Peter 2. Verse 15. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing, so it's the will of God to do good, to do what's right. That's the will of God. Don't get so caught up in seeking the will of God that you neglect the will of God that's right before you, which is do good. This is the will of God, that with your well-doing you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. The implication there is if you don't do good, you're foolish. So we're to do what's right. It's our business. And though man cannot fully comprehend what God is doing, cannot fully comprehend the events of life, we do not fully comprehend what God has created, we're to enjoy them. We're to enjoy them. And we're to view them as a gift from God. Notice verse 13 of Ecclesiastes 3. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy. Now, most people will just stop right there. Eat, drink, and enjoy the good of all his labor. So everyone is to be engaged in some sort of labor as well. Every man, his labor. His labor. It is the gift of God. That is, the labor is a gift of God. What we receive from that labor is also the gift of God. So what Solomon is saying here in verse 13 is what he has said several times throughout Ecclesiastes. And what he says here is taken out of context, misinterpreted by the world at large and by most of God's people as well. Notice chapter 2, verse 24. There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good. There it is again, in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. That is, it is the gift of God. Enjoy it. Enjoy life. Enjoy life as a gift of God. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 22. Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works. For that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Then notice in chapter 5, verse 18. Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and commonly for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor, that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him. There it is again, the gift of God. For it is his portion. It is his portion. That is what he receives from his labor. God's in control. That's his portion. That's his portion. Be content with your portion. Well, it's not fair. Be content with your portion and enjoy what God has given you, is what Solomon is saying. Notice in chapter 8, verse 15. Then I commended myrrh, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat and to drink and to be merry. For that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. We see it over and over. Man is to enjoy the fruit of his labor. It is a gift of God. It is a gift that is to be enjoyed. Now, apart from God, remove God from the picture, and that's the best man can do in life, is enjoy what God's given him. That's the best he can do, which is a life of vanity. Then notice in chapter 9, verse 7. Go thy way, Eat thy bread with joy. Eat thy bread with joy. Enjoy what God has given you. Enjoy it. And drink thy wine. Notice thy bread, thy wine. You don't take someone else's. It's thy bread, thy wine, with a merry heart. For God now accepteth thy works. So, man should eat, drink, and enjoy the produce of his labor. Enjoy the good of his labor. It ought to be enjoyed, not as this is what I have achieved, but it ought to be enjoyed as the gift of God. God gives it. Enjoy it. Don't complain about it. Enjoy it. Well, I didn't get as much as someone else. And I worked just as hard as they. This is your portion. Not everybody gets an equal portion. That's nowhere taught in the Word of God. God doesn't do that. God doesn't give everyone equally. You enjoy what God's given you. Enjoy it. Enjoy it as a gift of God. Enjoy life as a gift from God. Life is a gift from God. Every day is a gift from God. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. This, however, is not in the place of the Lord or apart from Him. You see, lost man, many of us who profess to be saved as well, will take these verses and say, I'm just enjoying life. I forsake the assembling of myself. I do as I please. I'm enjoying life. That's what God said. Not apart from Him. You've gone to an extreme, which is what human nature does. You see it everywhere. It's not enjoyment of life apart from God. That's why over and over Solomon mentioned it is the gift of God. You enjoy it realizing it is a gift of God. You do not take the gift of God and use it against Him. And that's what most people do. Don't do that. All the depravity of man. So again, we are to enjoy life because it is a gift. It's a gift of God. We're to appreciate life. It's a gift. It's not owed to us. There isn't a single day that's owed to us. Every day, every moment is a gift. Enjoy it. But don't remove God from the picture. Don't make your joy a priority over God. That's not what's being said here. So, not in the place of God. When we do it in the place of God, that's worldliness. That's worldliness. But the enjoyment of life, God has given His proper place. That's not worldliness. Again, people go to extremes. Well, I can't enjoy life because that would be worldly. No. Only if you remove God from the picture. Only if you put your enjoyment of life, your eating, drinking, and so on, ahead of God. That's worldliness. But we are to enjoy life. We're to enjoy it. And that's not worldliness. But when life in the world is put ahead of God, that's worldliness. That's worldliness, and it doesn't matter what your reasoning is. When life is put ahead of God, that's worldliness. Then notice in verse 14 and 15 of Ecclesiastes 3. I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And God doeth it, that men should fear before him. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And God requireth that which is past. So Solomon's telling us, enjoy life. It is a gift of God. Enjoy it. But now he is occupied with God's eternal and immutable ways, further establishing his overall conclusion. Fear God, keep his commandments. Yes, enjoy life, but don't forget the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep his commandments. Your enjoyment of life is never to supersede what he says. Never. So now he's occupied with the sovereignty of God. Life is a gift from God. Enjoy it, but remember the conclusion of the whole matter. Don't forget that. Fear God, keep his commandments. In other words, enjoy life, but do so focused upon God. Now, the lost person's not going to do that. The child of God, who enjoys life as a gift, sees life as a gift, sees every day as a gift, but is focused and enjoys it. But in his enjoyment, he is focused upon God. He does not allow the temporal to cause him to become oblivious to the giver of all things. Notice in Psalm 118. Psalm 118. Verse 24. In this verse, I've preached on it in the past. I believe it's talking about the Lord's Day. But the application, of course, goes further than that. This is the day which the Lord hath made. That's true of every day. I believe specifically here he's talking about the Lord's Day. But this is true of every day. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. That's what we're to do. We're to enjoy what God has given us. Enjoy what God has given us. He does not give equally. He does not give equal amount of days. Some have more days than others. Our days do not have the same characteristics. God doesn't give equally, but He gives. And what He gives is a gift, and we're to enjoy it. Notice Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12. Verse 19. So is he that layeth up treasure for himself, and is not rich toward God. And notice, again, that's read the wrong verse, but verse 19, I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. And someone will say, well, he's just enjoying life. But he's not doing so correctly. God's removed from the picture. Eternal things are out of his sight. And you see that from the next verse. We're to enjoy life focused upon God. Notice in Luke 17, verse 27, they did eat, they drank, they married wives. Nothing wrong with any of that. They were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. And the flood came and destroyed them all. The problem was they did those things, and you could say, well, they were just enjoying life. But they did so apart from God. They did so oblivious to God. So when God says, enjoy my gifts, it doesn't mean that's in the place of God. That's worldliness. Doesn't matter the reason you do it. People are very good at justifying what they do. Doesn't matter. It's worldliness. When the enjoyment of life is put ahead of God, that's worldliness. 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 17 and verse 18. Charge them that are rich in this world. That's not evil either. You may have attained your riches in an evil way. That's a different story. But not everyone that's rich is evil. That they be not high-minded. In other words, don't forget where it came from. Nor trust in uncertain riches. Don't forget where it came from. And don't trust in it. But in the living God. Again, focus upon God. Enjoy life. If God's given you riches, enjoy it. But don't forget God. But in the living God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. God giveth us to enjoy. God is so good to us. Even when we abuse what God has given us, you and I would never give that person a thing again. Well, they didn't even thank me for it. It's the last gift I give them. How many gifts does God give you? I would like to say almost all of them. And we never give thanks. But they do good. There it is again. Enjoy it. Do good with what God has given you. That they may be rich in good works. So there's different kinds of riches. There's material riches, there's spiritual riches. Ready to distribute, that means ready to share, ready to do good, willing, ready and willing to communicate, which is to share as well. And in it all, again, we're to enjoy life as a gift from God, and in it all, fear God, keep His commandments. Solomon is focused upon God at this point. And now he moves from that, enjoying life, enjoying it as a gift from God, and he moves to the unchanging sovereignty of God. He says, I know this. I'm certain of it. Don't know everything about it, but I'm certain of it. Whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. That is, it's perfect. And that's explained in the next phrase. Nothing can be put to it to make it better because it's perfect, whatever he does. You don't have to take anything from it to make it better. It's perfect. Everything God does is perfect. If God gives you $10,000 and you do absolutely nothing to get it, that's the perfect work of God. If God gives you $10 and you worked for it, that's the perfect purpose of God. Now, hardly anyone believes that, but it's so. God's ways are perfect. And what he's saying here is the purpose of God is immutable. It needs no addition. It needs no subtraction. It's perfect. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. God's in charge of it all. He does not give equally. It may not even appear fair. None of that's the point. God gave it. God's works are perfect. Enjoy it. And we'll stop there. But again, enjoy life as a gift from God. Focused upon the giver and not so much the gift. Focused upon the giver, which is God. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord.